Hello, everyone. Welcome to Signed and Awesome Parent Podcast. Right now, I have Pam Primus with me, our co-creator of Signed and Awesome Parent, and I have Jamie Knopp. Okay, correct me if I said your last name wrong. Is it Knopp?
Kropp.
Oh,
just
sorry.
like the kinds in the field. No, you're fine.
Kropp. We're like in separate states, but we're making this interview happen, and it's a very important interview. Today, we're going to talk about autism and medical marijuana. There are certain states that allow it, and Jamie is in one of those states, and she also has a great organization. So if you go to, is it 420autism.org?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk to her today about her process, how it's helped her son. And of course, we do not necessarily advocate for this. However, it's an option. We're just putting out there for people as an option that may be able to help their child. So Pam and Jamie, take it away.
So the reason I wanted to do this one, Jamie, I have a nonverbal 13-year-old who just hit puberty. He has been the sweetest kid his whole life, and now he is aggressive. And it's more self-harm for now, but he's my height and getting taller. My whole family is tall. I just happen to be short. So I'm sure he's going to tower over me very, very soon. So we've tried 3 different medications now to try to calm down the aggression, and nothing is even coming close to touching his aggression and his anger. So I do a lot of internet searching, YouTube, those type of things. And we came across you and your interview and your video, as well as a couple of others. So I love to hear advice and just like, how did you get started in the process, and more about your background and how you got into it.
Well, thank you, ladies, for searching and looking for different options for parents. It takes women like you and parents like you to get the message out there. So like they said, my name is Jamie Kropp and I run 420 Autism. I started 420 Autism in December of 2015. My son Colt was born in 2008 in Phoenix, Arizona. And at the time, I just kind of knew he was just a little more special, and I like to call him my indigo child. And he was, like you were saying, Pamela, he was the sweetest little boy, and he loved hugs, and he was very intense, and he was nonverbal. And trying to get his diagnosis was hard because people said, well, look at him, he's so sweet, and he likes to be hugged, and he plays with the toy different, but I just knew there was something. And Colt was diagnosed at 2.5 after trying extensive therapies. And like you said, I came home with 3 medications that they wanted me to try for Colt. And myself, being a cannabis user at the time, smoked a joint and to calm myself down because I didn't know what to do for my son anymore. And I said, you know what? This is helping me. I have anxiety. I need to slow the picture show down. And here I'm smoking cannabis to do that. And I said, I think I'm going to use it on Colt. And all my friends in Phoenix were like, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're going to lose him. And I said, if I find one person doing it, I'm going to do it. And so I researched and I found an amazing woman named Miko Perez. You guys should definitely look her up. Her son Joey at the time, she was using cannabis for Joey, and Joey had cerebral palsy, but she was finding that it was helping his autistic tendencies as well. And so that was my godsend that somebody else was doing it, and I'm going to do it. And I did it in Phoenix, which I probably shouldn't have done, and I don't advocate for parents to do this, but at the time I didn't have any other choice. And I was hoping for a moment of relief for myself, because as parents, we get tired and we get, it's hard for us as well. And if we can get just a moment of relief for ourselves, I can handle the next meltdown a little bit better. And what I experienced was so much more than relief for myself. Colt was able to, I like to put it as he was looking through like the CNC, like, and it doesn't stop. That picture show is just constantly going, and he's a self-stimmer, so he'll do this constantly to almost create a tracer of he really likes this. And getting smoking cannabis with him stopped that. He went to school next couple of days, and the school instantly asked me, why is he not running away anymore? and he was able to sit more in a chair. And I got scared because I was like, there was such a drastic change in him that I knew I needed to move somewhere that had legal cannabis, medical cannabis program. And Colorado at the time was a golden green state for everybody. And so I packed up my 3-bedroom house and my son and my daughter and our 3 dogs, and we moved to Colorado. Coming here, finding out that autism was not a qualifier in 2015. Colt, by the grace of God, kind of weird to think that you have another qualifying condition, but Colt has mastocytosis, and so he was able to get into the medical cannabis program here in Colorado. And the same thing that happened with the other parents, we just, yes, it helped with the mastocytosis, it helped with the GERD, but the firing of his neurons in his brain was mind-blowing. And that's when we knew that we had to, one, start 420 autism so other parents could see that there's all these other tools that we can use. Cannabis allows Colt to slow down therapy. He's not running in and out of the room anymore. He can sit down and speech. He won most improved reader in Pueblo County as a cannabis patient. We started working with other organizations and other wonderful moms here in Colorado to get autism as a qualifier. We went up against Governor Hickenlooper, and he didn't like our bill, so he vetoed it. And so the next morning, Colt and I went and met with our current governor now, Governor Polis, and asked if he would sign our bill. And he said that he would sign the bill if he got elected, and he was elected, and he signed the autism bill on World Autism Day 2 years ago. So within, I know of all the, it was just beautiful how it all lined up. It wasn't anything. It was just meant to be. So with Colt, with him being an 8-year cannabis patient, what I've been able to see is, yes, he still has autistic tendencies. Yes, it's still, autism isn't going anywhere, but it allows, we can stop a meltdown in 30 seconds. To where with just straight consumption at that point, being able to use capsules or something like that, we're consistently keeping the body at a homeostasis throughout the day. We also passed a law to where they have to allow cannabis on school grounds. He is allowed to have his medicine on school grounds. Plus, they made it to where the nurse still has to administer it, just like an EpiPen, just like any type of, if your child goes in and needs some Tylenol for a headache or a fever, same thing with the cannabis. So he's allowed to have it on school grounds. So now we're being able to go to school for 8 hours a day. He's able to, all these activities and rights that we have fought so hard for, most of our kids can't sit that long for those hours. Yay, we have all this help. Well, if my child can't sit through it, it's not helping me. It's pissing my kid off. It makes me as a parent feel like I did something wrong. Like here I have all these things that I can't use. So cannabis has given our family just a huge amount, a huge tool to allow Colt to enjoy the resources that so many parents have fought for. He's able to go and enjoy going to the grocery store. A lot of our kids have a lot of food issues and sensory issues with food. Colt wouldn't pick up a fork. He wouldn't drink anything. He wouldn't drink water. He wouldn't open up his palate to anything else. He eats salad. He eats salmon. He eats. It's literally opened. It's given him a chance. I know when we look at our children, they're there, and you can see them. And cannabis, I know for a fact, gave me back my son. There's a problem within our body. I mean, it's been proven over and over that autistic children and adults are deprived in all kinds of things within the body. And we've proven in science, because I keep wanting science, and we've gotten the studies to where it shows that there is regrowth. There is this plant can start helping our children regrow parts of within their body and their endocannabinoid system, so we can handle things better. With aggression, Colt, so we're going through puberty right now with Colt. He's 14 and he doubled in size. He was my little tiny kid and now he's taller than me. we do still have aggression, but it's very short-lived, and compassion. If he sees me cry, he gets it. It's not just mom's doing something that I don't know. He will, if he sees me cry, he will get upset himself and grab a tissue and come and dry my eyes for me. Our children are having compassion, that they're doing things that they said they couldn't. If we can get them to realize a pain in us, showing emotion, now he can cry instead of, I mean, he'll jump up and down, but then you see all the other emotions, like they're able to experience all emotion instead of just anger. And when the anger comes, as some of us know, it comes quick and it's hard, and they're like, oh, you need to learn how to block. Our kids are quick. It's like we have the Hulk. So with the aggression, a lot of people are like, oh, let's do CBD, let's try that. But what we have found with multiple patients that we've worked with is CBD sometimes heightens the aggression in autistic children and adults. And that's why we advocate for whole plant cannabis. The wholer, the better, that high THC. Colt probably consumes anywhere from 2,500 to 3,500 milligrams of THC a day. And most people hear that and you're like, oh my God, that's a lot.
Right.
But for somebody that's deficient, that's nothing. For me to consume that much, oh my goodness, that would be a lot because my body doesn't need that much. But our children, like when they want a hug, they want a hug. When they get mad, they get mad. So why wouldn't they need more? You know, when they take a bath, they take a bath. Like Colt's like fully into that water. So I kind of like to mirror. He's so extreme at all levels. His medicine has to be the same, and it's a numbers game. Some people, it's another thing that we're learning within the community and within the industry of cannabis is sometimes a high number works great for you, but sometimes a low number works great for someone else. And just like with our children, some kids can stim all day long and be good, and then some can overstim. Like I'm learning that now with Colt, like things that he used to do that calmed him, now he uses extremely, and you get extreme anxiety from it. So they're constantly changing, and that's what's great about the plant. There's so many different things within the cannabis plant that if a parent isn't open to, say, having their children vape or having them, you know, traditionally like we used to smoke a joint, a lot of parents aren't okay with that. Well, the plant gives us so many options to where we can put it into food, we can put it into capsules, we can put it into tinctures, we can put it in a bath bomb. And because our kids are so sensory overloaded at the time, there's so many different ways that we can consume with our children. Not like us consuming with them, but there's different modes of my words are not coming out right, but different modes to consume. It doesn't have to be the traditional, like when we were younger, hanging out with our friends. And that was another thing pushing at the Capitol was people hear marijuana, weed, cannabis, whatever you want to call it. Everybody thinks of the person sitting on the couch, eating bonbons, watching Netflix all day long. That is not what happens with our kids. This is something that gets our kids outside. The medications that are approved to give our children, yeah, our children will sit at the window and stare at the window all day long, but are they actually seeing anything? Now take that same child and give them cannabis. They're looking out the window and they see things. They see the bird fly by. They see the wind blowing in the trees instead of completely doping a child up. And yeah, they didn't do anything. They didn't hurt themselves today, but there was no interaction. We've completely lost our children with these medicines that they've given us that are approved. They're like, well, he didn't hit himself today. Well, I'm not just looking for something to take the hitting away. I still want my child to have life. You know, we still want them to be able to interact. So sorry if I went off on a tangent there, but that's what we found, especially with aggression. It has been, if I can stop it, then there's not going to be I'm not going to have bruises on myself. He's not going to have bruising there. I'm not going to have judgment from other people. And if somebody would have told me that if I went out and I picked up horse manure and gave it to Colt and it would stop him from being mad, I would have done it. And I'd still go do it. I'm not done searching in that sense. I'm not. We're fine, you know. I know we're just talking about cannabis, you know, today and autism, but there's a lot more research into just all plant medicine. And I think we all, are, I think us as a world are deprived of natural plant medicine. And the more we look into it, the more we're looking into mushrooms. The lady that helped us with the autism bill, she also helped with the decriminalization of mushrooms up in the city of Denver. And there's a lot, there's a lot. Mushrooms are, you know, we can start repairing the frontal sheath. And that's another thing with cannabis that we have found within autism is the frontal sheath. Like I know with Colt, he likes pressure, so I can push right here. And he gets like a sense of like, you can, like it feels good. And I'm like, oh, that's your frontal sheath. And to be able to get that to start firing again is where all those emotions and motor skills and everything like that. And Pamela, I know you mentioned that your son is nonverbal. Colt was completely nonverbal until he was 7. And after using a Durban poison, which is a high sativa cannabis, he literally looked at the TV, and you know, like on Music Choice or like on MTV, it'll have the ticker and it'll tell you what the song is and the songwriter and stuff like that. He looked, he pointed, and just read out loud. I never taught Colt how to talk. Like, you know, with my daughter, it's all there. It's there. Every time they go to speech, every time they go to school and people are teaching them, they are getting it. They just can't get it out. And as soon as I was able to slow that picture show down, it was almost creepy, scary. I had never heard his voice, let alone hear him. And it was like he had been talking this whole entire time. And it was that one little piece to his puzzle, or the piece to his, or the key to his lock, or however anybody wants to see it. I know giving him a high sativa cannabis allowed my son to get his words out. It didn't give him the ability to speak because he had it. It just gave him, it slowed it down so he could get his words out. And the frustration starts to melt away. Because can you imagine? I mean, I know we know how frustrating it is to not be able to tell somebody how our child feels, but how our child feels not being able to, like, they're there. I'd be pissed off too. Right. And that encourages, that gets aggression. And, you know, when somebody doesn't understand me at the bank and I'm like, I put my money in there, I signed it, where's my money? I can tell you why I'm upset. Our children have the ability, everything's still in there. We just don't, the connection to the mouth. And then to be able to sit through speech therapy or occupational therapy, to where he can put his pants on. And, you know, there's so many things that cannabis has done just besides giving him less anger and me a moment of relief. It's given him a voice. It's given him empathy, motor skills, to writing, to being able to text. And I mean, that right there, if we can slow down, so say we never get speech, that may never come, but if we can slow down the picture show and start to work on the motor skills, we can place a tablet in a hand and then they can start typing to us. There goes away aggression when they can actually, are you hungry? We can start from little tiny pictures and something that a lot of kids like. They love their tablet. Now let's give them something that they love and give them a voice at the same time. And cannabis can help introduce new things. It gives them the ability to try new things.
Nice. Yes. Definitely. That is what we need this way, for sure, is to at least give it a try. Like you said, we don't know if it works or not, but at least try it. For the process, like, how did you get started on getting it approved in your state? Like, how did you drop the bill, or what would your advice be for me to try to get started? So
for getting a bill drawn up, is working with your local legislator. We had an amazing mom named Michelle, and she works with MAM. It's Mothers Advocating for Medical Marijuana Access. I would definitely reach out to them. They have multiple chapters throughout the United States. And then working with a lobbyist to help write up a bill, and then taking it to your state government. You're in Michigan, right?
Yep, we're in Michigan.
With Michigan, you guys are starting your cannabis program and stuff like that. So that's nice that the door's been open. It's just what you're doing right now is what you should be doing. Is you're getting the word out. You're getting people to support you, because, and then once you have support, I mean, you will have people rally against you, and then reaching out to people like me and just different resources. That's where I use the stories and just start pushing it. And look, the news is great. We've been on the news. They like stories like ours, especially right now with it being April. It's just getting it out there, I think would be, and finding who your lobbyist is, what within your state, what the medical program looks like for patients for children. And then if you had, depending on how your guys' program is ran, if it's ran by the health department or if it's ran business wise, I should have looked it up before I got on here with you guys, but that's who you go up against. And then finding, like within your local city or your local county, going and talking to a local representative, someone within your county that you know supports you, and talking to them, and then let them kind of do your, like, you get to just be the mom. And that's how we win over hearts is and then letting our children speak as much as they possibly can. And with you guys, like I said in the beginning, it's not fair. When we went up against, when we went to do the bill the first time, my thing was, don't let me, it's not fair that I get to walk away. Either if you veto this bill, my son still gets to go home and consume and treat all these tendencies and have great success. But all these other parents have to wait another year or 2 years or 3 years because of the different qualifications. And that's a thing within your state is there another qualifier that your son or someone else's child has to where they can get into the medical program? And that's where Colt's blessing was. And the reason he has 8 years as a cannabis patient is because he had other qualifiers. So some states will instantly put in autism. Some states won't. I know Arizona's still fighting to have autism as a qualifier. It's just a fight that we have to. It should be universal. It should be it should, and it sucks because it's not. And it does upset me for all the other parents. It's so hard for me to share our story of success and know that legally you can't even try.
Yes.
That's so. Thank you guys thank you for finding me. And I forget that people don't know about us. I forget that it's not legal in other states, even though, because of how lucky we are here in Colorado. And we have all these other states that are passing cannabis, but they're not passing it for our kids.
No.
Nope. And we have this huge awareness and everything like that. Well, if you guys want to get aware, here you go. And what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. So thank you for sharing our story and for fighting for your sons and your daughters and other families.
Yes, and we thank you for letting us know everything. Like,
absolutely,
it's a huge help to hear how the process started and how you got here, because it's definitely frustrating. Like you said, keep asking the doctors, like, is the program available yet? Like, can I go somewhere else? Like, we have to do something because he's hurting himself.
And that's where most of us have found that we couldn't wait anymore. Some of us, and I was blessed to be able to have my crazy brain, and I'm like, I'm just moving. And I know that's not something that all families can do. And with moving, how much Colt did lose, because Arizona at the time had a better autism program, and services than the state of Colorado did. So it was like, stay and do the therapies that are tied and tested and everybody tells me to do, or do I pick my family up and move out to Colorado? We lived in a hotel for 9 months because I thought I could just move here and get into a house, and I couldn't. So that's another thing that us as parents are put into. It's like, yay, I can go to another state. No, you can't. And another thing is, another thing that you guys could also do with maybe getting your state to do it is, we need a program for these parents. Most of us, we love our families and everything, but most of us come from a broken home, or our homes become broken because of autism. Autism is not just hard for our kids, it's hard on our families, it's hard on our relationships, it's hard getting people to come and work with us. And now I have this program that says that I can use this great new medicine for my kid, and now it's expensive. This comes out of pocket. This isn't something that we can go get all those prescriptions and they'll pay for them and they'll pay for therapies. But this is, so within your state, something, something else that has to be done is, you can't keep breaking our bank. Yay, we have the right, but you got to pay for it. So that was a thing within, like with starting 420 Autism, is we help pay within the state of Colorado and other states, that if it's legal there, is help you pay for your card, because this is something you have to get every single year. It's not going away. This isn't going away.
Yeah.
It's something I have to do every year. So in the state of Colorado, you have to get a card every single year, and you have to have 2 doctors sign. So it's usually anywhere from $100 to $250 a year, which most parents are living off of SSI or their own SSI because of funding. I can't make too much because I need this therapy. But we're all playing the shovel game just to get services for our kids. And then now we have this program that can help. Now I can't afford to pay for it. So woohoo, you passed legalization, but I can't even access it. So that's why foundations like ours and other programs need to be implemented, and other nonprofits need to start looking at, yay, we're going to pass it. How do we help the parents obtain it? How do we do it legally, safely, safe access? When I moved here, I decided to find somebody that personally grew, because I wanted to know exactly, because just like we are with our food, with our kids, we need to know everything. I work so hard to control his food, I control his therapies, I need to also control his medicine. And so I decided to find a local caregiver, because there's a caregiver program within the state of Colorado to where you can have some. He's now my husband because he fell in love with me too. But yeah, that's how I met my husband. Is I stalked him on Facebook, and he was on the news in a purple suit, and I was like, ooh, it takes a lot to stand in a purple suit on the news. And he had helped a family move from Texas to Colorado, and he sponsored them to help a woman with her seizures. And I just knew that was someone that had a heart. And so I asked him if he had ever worked with anybody with autism, and he said that he hadn't, but that he had been growing cannabis for many years and that he would like to have a go at it. And it was his Durban poison that he grew that was the first thing that got Colt to start talking. So that's another thing. Yeah, it's almost like a lifetime story when I say it. I'm like, I can't believe it happened, but Colorado.
It is a lifetime story.
I was a single mom moving here, and so cannabis has done more than just give me back my son. It's given my son a father. It's given us a community. It's given him the opportunity to thrive and to do things that he asked me the other day if he could learn how to ride a horse, and I'm like the things he wants to do. So he's going to go into I have his IEP actually coming up, and he's going into high school next year. So, and I know for a fact if I didn't have this extra tool, and I know I keep saying it's a tool because I don't want people to think that cannabis is a cure-all and I don't need services anymore.
Yeah.
This is just another tool in my toolbox of all the things that work for Colt or for other kids. And but I think everybody should. I think everybody should try it. I mean, it's not just it doesn't just help our kids. There's so many people that are out there getting relief, a better quality of life. Isn't that what we all want? We all want a better quality.
Absolutely.
It's a better quality of life that it creates. And it's not the stoner, it's not the, it's helped Colt regulate his appetite. I had a child that would just sit and eat chicken nuggets all day long, and the only time he would smile is when I would order him another thing of chicken nuggets or another thing, and then the anger would come when I wouldn't give him the right food. And something I have to give you, and then somebody tells me that it's a sensory thing, that you will only eat this one certain thing, and it's the one thing I know you shouldn't be having, but you smile. And I've been waiting my whole life for you to smile and to be happy. But I'm killing you. I'm killing you with food. I'm killing you with the one thing that makes you happy. And cannabis has given Colt the ability to try new things. Does he still like chicken nuggets? Oh my goodness, yes. But we're not obsessing over them. We're able to portion control, and he's not getting mad over it. So
Yes, that's the important part.
yeah.
It's definitely Steven, he loves to eat. He's just a grown man at this point. He eats me out of house and home. He doesn't really have a problem with his palate, but when I say no, it's World War V instantly now. And he's never been like that. Like before, if I say no, he'll just go sit down somewhere, just, you know, he might throw a little bit of an attitude, but now it's like the hitting, like you said. It interests me when you said like pressing here, because that's where he hits. He has like 2 big lumps
right here
now.
Colt does the same
this
thing.
Is where he hits like constantly when he throws his temper tantrum, and then he goes like this back and forth. Like that's how his temper tantrums go. And I told his doctor, like, look at his face. Like we can't keep going on like this, because he's up here now. Like what if he moves on to blacken his eyes or something? Like we have to get this under control now. And they just keep giving medicines and nothing is even touching the aggression. Nothing.
It's like with Colt, when they were giving him medicines, it was like the medicine would knock him out. But and I would have a little bit because he's passed out, and then wake up and he's even more mad than he was before, because he was like this the whole time. In that, oh, here's your rescue drug to stop the anger. All you did was stop it, and then he's building back up. And it's not funny, but it's the similarities of this and this where they hit. There's got to be something here.
Yes.
And what I found with cannabis, it stops that. There's been multiple children that we have seen in multiple programs that it really stops the aggressive self-injury. And to ourselves as parents. You know, Colt was very big at coming at me. He would hit himself, and then I would tell him to stop. And then because it's already happening, it has to go on to someone, is how I would, at least that's how I told myself at night. That's why it was happening. But like I said, it stopped. You can see him thinking through the process as he gets mad now, and they're not as extreme. Kind of like how it used to be. You were saying, like, before, when I would take the food away, it's almost in puberty, and with any child is hard, especially for boys. And then you have not being able to tell you how you feel, and the one thing that I think makes me feel good, you're telling me I can't have anymore. And by introducing cannabis, it's at least for Colt, and with a couple other patients that we have, we've seen a lot of that anger, acceptance. I may not like it, but I know I don't need to get so mad. It just totally de-heightens it. Kind of like the kids with Ritalin back in the day. You'd give a child Ritalin that was super hyper. You're like, what? It's like and that's how it is with our kids. A lot of, we've also seen when you go in and you have your card and someone will be, oh, well, I need to, my child, you know, has anxiety or they have autism. Instantly, someone will be like, oh, you need an indica. Typically with us, an indica is going to get you a little bit more sleepier. It's going to help on that. Well, that's, again, we're talking typical, and our children are not typical. So we have also found that going opposite, when you're looking to calm down, you use a sativa. When you're looking to, if you have a child that doesn't have a lot of energy or something like that, you can use it. And it's polar opposites with our kids. It's never, when just like how we use different things, you know, they don't do this with their toy, you know, they spin the wheel. It's the same, I like to think the same way with Colt's medicine. And because of the varieties of strains and terpenes, I can medicate Colt and I can change his medicine to the season. To where if he looks outside right now and it was snowing, it doesn't matter, he's not happy because he can't go outside, he doesn't like the snow. I live in Colorado. It's kind of hard to not like the snow, but because we have been able to look at the plant in different ways and the different terpenes, that I can adjust his mood by smoking different types of strains. Now with indica, an indica too will have more CBD in it, and as I had mentioned before, someone that says, oh, you need an indica for your child because they have anxiety, and you give them the indica and he gets even more mad. Well, it doesn't work. Well, a lot of the strains, some of the strains are higher in CBD than they are in other things. So that's another thing, a learning thing as parents and as patients, that everything's different and you have to find that sweet spot within you. So by getting like with myself having Dan, I was able to try different things and to find what works for them. And by, if anybody ever wants, and if you know other moms or anything like that want to reach out and talk to myself or with Dan, we have our own lab here in Colorado to where we can create things specifically for the patient or the child. That's another thing, is because the plant is so versatile, we can custom make things for you. Like if your body works better with linalool or myrcene, and those are all terpenes that are with it, that are found within the cannabis plant. That's something that we can do as well within CBD, because some parents, one, can't access it. Their state it's not legal. Within the state of Colorado, CBD gives us the opportunity to start trying different terpenes and stuff, different terpene profiles, and creating that within a legal limit and being able to try. Some places though, some parents, it's something I want to stress, is we will instantly sync out CBD, and most good CBD is going to have a little bit of THC in it. So as parents, we go in, we hear CBD, we think it doesn't have any THC, it's safe, and it starts to work. But because it does have that 0.3% THC, our children will test positive on a drug test. So if for some reason social services, or just because people don't agree, and there's nosy Nancy's and Karen's, or whatever we want to call them today, there's always going to be that person that isn't going to agree with what you do with your family, what I do with my family. So you always want to protect yourself and your patients, or the people that we're advocating for, that yes, CBD is wonderful, it works great, but it isn't the safest thing for us as parents to use just so we can try. It's still going to have, most of the time, it's still going to have that 0.3%. And we don't ever want a parent to lose their child because they tried something. And so with that, like what you're talking about, like how do we get this legal? That was the big push of getting it legal, is now we have all these CBD companies, and it works. It's a starting point, but we're finding that in some cases parents are being reported, or social services are getting involved in families, and families are getting reported and losing their children or getting in trouble. And that's just not something that we want. But for people within Colorado or in states that do allow CBD, that's a starting point that Dan and myself can help parents with, or point parents in the right direction to where they themselves can make the decision on how they want to go about. And that's why a lot of people have had to move, because they didn't have the because of how I'm talking, people are like, oh, now that scares me. And that was my point of moving here, was I didn't want anybody to take Colt from me. I didn't want to try something and then because if somebody were to come take Colt right now, they're not gonna give him medicine. This isn't something that our kids can have in a group home. This isn't something that in the mental hospital or something like that. This isn't a medicine that is still accessible that way. So protecting yourself and your family the best you possibly can, because it's gonna work. I'm gonna say 99.9% cannabis is going to give each child a better quality of life.
That's amazing. You have any questions, Jen?
Hey, yeah. So as I was listening, I think my audio might have been messed up, so I dialed in. But as I was listening, I heard you kind of mention CBD versus cannabis, and I have been noticing, like, even at my job, they now sell CBD products because I work at a drugstore. So, and I was kind of thinking about it for my kid. I'm like, well, maybe I can use this relaxation oil, but you said that might even make him more hyper, because my child has an issue with he might be ADHD in addition to autism, but he's very, very hyper, like can't sit still, hyper, to where, like, Cam, we were just at a birthday party on Saturday, and like I'm having to hold him the whole time because he just doesn't know how to sit still.
So like you said, you work at a pharmacy or like somewhere like Walgreens. CBD from there, 9 times out of 10 isn't going to have any THC in it, because just to be able to get it into like that big of a store, there's all kinds of regulations and stuff like that. Something like that may be safe to use. I would definitely try. I mean, I can. Am I recording right now still?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we could use, stuff like that, like I could send you a care package of a bath bomb that you could use and put it in the bath and see if something like that was to help, because that way we're not actually getting into the bloodstream. A salve or something like that would be a good way to start. But because I don't want to knock something that's in a store like Walgreens or your local gas station, but I don't see it as holistically. I think it's more like, here's some Tylenol, but it's not Tylenol. It's just something in a bottle. So it's definitely something you could use, you could try, but I would, I don't, it's more just a package on a label in a sense, especially because like she said, it's everywhere. CBD is everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere right now.
And what's in it? That's another thing. Like Dan's like over here doing this, good listening, and it's what's in it. It's a gummy, and it has so much CBD in it, but there's all this other filler. And so when we give it to our children and it doesn't work, it's not necessarily that the CBD was bad or anything was bad in it. There could be something within the process of making it that our kids don't react to well. Or it could be, like we were saying, CBD is a high protein. If they used a bonding agent within the gummy, because everybody loves gummies, our kids love gummies, so why wouldn't we give them a gummy? It could be the stuff inside of it that they're reacting to. But as parents, I just gave you something and you got more mad. We ain't doing this again. And so now I'm not going to try CBD. I'm not going to try cannabis, because I got this from Walgreens, or I got this from this person and I tried it and my child got mad, or it didn't work. Because, and that's, it's a fight as a parent and as an advocate, is you have to find that good quality medicine, because everybody wants to make, just like with autism, everybody wants to make money off our kids. And the same thing with CBD and the same thing with cannabis, is it's quality over quantity. Is something that we struggle with in the state of Colorado is, we can go to a dispensary to get a certain medicine that worked for our child. And when I go in next week, there's no actual guarantee that it's going to be the same exact thing that I got the week before. And that's why home grow rights and caregiver rights are so important, is you can go at a lower level and have that personally made for you. So if there's a way to try CBD and you can legally do it in your state, and that's going to be your gateway into a whole nother way of medicine, then absolutely try it. I mean, we give melatonin and it stopped working, because that was a big thing. Is before I found cannabis, melatonin was like, I I shouted from the rooftops that melatonin was the thing because it finally got Colt to sleep. And then finding that when we give our body something that we normally create, why isn't the melatonin working anymore? Well, because the body isn't making it anymore. And with cannabis, that it doesn't actually do that. It's not, you're not going to shut something off to stop working. With melatonin or taking multiple vitamins and stuff, your body gets depleted. Your body doesn't have to make it anymore. Your body gets lazy. And our children's bodies are kind of lazy and they only do certain things. And I believe that the endocannabinoid system, once we start getting that not depleted anymore, just starts, it's homeostasis. It's where we're supposed to feel. That's like when some people will try a good CBD or, you know, try a good like Delta 8 or Delta 9 gummy or sucker. They're like, ooh, I think I'm high. No, that's how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel good. So, but yeah, I don't want to knock not trying CBD or anything like that. I just would keep an open mind that if it doesn't work, keep trying. There's always other options.
Well, I think like you said, at the end of the day, though, at least we're trying something that's natural. And even with medications, like I was just talking to Pam and she's like, I've tried all these different medications. She finally got to one that was good and she was telling me about it. But that's the same thing it sounds like you're doing with the medical marijuana program. Is sometimes you have to adjust to the different seasons, like you said, or you have to adjust to what it is that he needs. You have to kind of still do those same adjustments with medical marijuana as you do with normal medication.
Yep. Absolutely. It's constantly changing. Our children's bodies are, and that's what's beautiful about it is, oh, I'm sorry, it's not, I can't sell you a one-time shot. If it works great for your child for the rest of his life, oh my goodness, great. But 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's going to be something that we're going to have to constantly be changing. But then again, it's kind of beautiful because our children are constantly changing. Isn't it kind of neat that we found this plant that can change with our kids? It doesn't have to be like you were saying, like some kids can take Abilify for a couple of years and then it stops working. But with the cannabis plant, there's so, there's so many different things that we can keep trying. It's not a no. Like you can tap out on Abilify. We stopped functioning. Yeah, it worked, but like we said, like he's laying on the floor. He's not having any quality of life. So as life hits us with bad weather, or my favorite cashier isn't at, this is the thing with Colt, my favorite cashier isn't at Walmart today. I'm not going through this aisle or the checkout. He will still go because he can understand that she's going to be here tomorrow. Maybe she's sick. Maybe her little boy doesn't feel good. Remember when you didn't feel good, Colt? You didn't want to go to the store? That was something that would have never have happened. So that's something that within the plant, I can adjust for him, that if I know something's coming up, we can change it. If there's going to be a fire drill at school, maybe I'll dose him I'll give him a little bit extra because his anxiety is going to be heightened because we're having a fire drill. Or if I know that we're going to do a big family event and all the kids are zooming back and forth and he wants to zoom with them, we can adjust it. We can adjust it if we're going to Florida and it's going to be hot, or it's as a parent, it makes it harder because we have to constantly change things, but we've been changing things for them their whole life. That I think it's beautiful that we've found something that's constantly changing, and we're finding out new things about the cannabis plant every day. Just like we find things out about our kids every single day. She's growing right, I call her a sheep. The plant, she's growing right along with us. She's changing, and the more science that gets into her and the more openness that I'm beyond grateful to have to be able to talk about it is one thing, but I'm extremely blessed that I'm able to do this with my son. And I hope that one day that we're all not just talking about it, we're all sharing, hey, I tried this one with this one today, instead of I want you guys to be able to try it. If it works, great. If not, at least you tried. And it creates a community. It gives Colt socialization to where I like to talk about, like how we all talk about passing the peace pipe back in the day. It was called a peace pipe. Why? Because it's ceremonial. You come together and you sit and you commence and you talk and it comes together. It was never meant to be a taboo thing. It was never meant to be a drug. And I don't consider, you know, if you would have told me 8 years ago that Colt would be a cannabis patient, I would have said no because of just the way I was brought up, but I wouldn't go there without it anymore.
I think as autism moms, though, once we figured out that we were autism moms, because it took us time to get to the point where we knew that we were even autism moms. Once you get to that point, you realize that, like you said, you're now walking down a path of, I never thought I would be doing this. I never thought I would be experiencing this. I never thought I would have to be cleaning up this or helping my son with this or that. Yep. So at the end of the day, you do have to be very open-minded. I was just reading an article about that. I know Pam has talked about that. You have to be open-minded as to the different treatments, how you help them. It's a whole new world of motherhood that you just were, in some cases like me, wasn't even ready for it. But those were really all of the questions that I had. Luckily, in our state, they do have it where we legally do have medical marijuana. But in talking to you today, I've learned so much more about it, because it's like, it's not just giving my son weed like you said back in the day. Yeah. It's not just that. It's possible that I might have to change his doses or get him a plant that, you know, has more medication in it, or, you know, so there's a lot more to it from what I'm hearing. I'm gonna have to definitely watch this back. But it's almost like you opened the door to more questions for us, for sure.
And please keep them coming. Like any more questions you got, I am here. I am literally an open book, and talking with you guys, you know, it reminds me of things that I forgot, you know. So even though like being and doing this as long as I've been, you know, we've been doing it for a few years now, I forget, you know, and you guys have ignited a fire inside of me that needed to be lit again to spread this out, because I forget that, you know, that there's people that aren't even able to use it or that need to know. So thank you for doing what, but yeah, any questions or any care packages or anything like that, I am ready for you guys.
Yes, I will be in contact for sure. Okay, I will for sure be in contact. I'm going to try to see what I can find with my researching and everything, because you have given me way more information. So thank you.
Absolutely.
It makes a lot of sense. Like, it comes together now when you were saying like the THC and the sativa, like how the different strands are.
And so like I was saying, I'm just the mom, and you know, but here, come here. This is Dan. This is my husband. He's the science.
Hey, hi,
He's
Dan.
the science behind it. So if you ever have any questions like of breaking down the plant, or if you have a friend or a family or someone within your community that, you know what, okay, yeah, but I need the science. He's the guy to go to. He's the one that'll make it. We grow here at we are allowed to grow here at our home. So we grow our plants, Colt's plants, and a few other patients' plants. And so Dan goes from seed all the way into making of the product. So, and he knows how different terpenes and stuff like that affect the body. So he's an amazing resource that we have available to you guys and to your community, and anyone that has any questions. And they don't have to, all abilities, we help them all. So it's not just autism. We have some cancer patients. We have a lady that stopped Parkinson's. We stopped her from shaking. So anything anything you guys need, we are totally here for you. And he's the smart one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I guess I will let you go if you guys don't have any more questions.
Nope, I don't think we do. I think you lost Jennifer though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there she goes.
I keep coming in and out. I'm sorry, you guys.
Oh no, you're fine.
Did you have any more
questions? I just want to say, no, the last thing I just want to say, I don't have any more questions or anything like that, but this is just beautiful. So I'm just really happy that we had this chance to talk, and thank God for this technology to where we can reach out to you in Colorado and even have this conversation, because I think at the end of the day, this would be very helpful for people. Like you said, why this is not just across the board of the nation, like, it makes no sense to me at all. Like, so, like you said, the same way it ignites a fire and you, it ignites a fire in me too, because it's like, if it's something that can help, like you said, your son, it could something that can help other people's kids and potentially, hopefully my son in
Yes.
Jesus' name. Hopefully help him too. But
Yes.
that's all that we really have. Thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely be in touch with you with questions and all that good stuff. And that's all for today. Pam, you got anything else?
Nope. Thank you guys. And I will be in contact.
Thank you. You guys all have a
Alrighty.
wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all soon.
What-
Oh, and we put,
I'm just putting some contact info.
there's contact
in the
info
chat
on the
thing
chat
over here.
part of this. But you guys have my
Okay.
info if you want to email me, or we can messenger back and forth. Anytime, like I'm available. I'm blessed to be able to stay home with Colt and everything now. So anytime you guys need anything, we're here for you.
And we'll put all of
Alright,
your
awesome.
information also on the end of the video and
Okay.
hold it there so everyone can take down the information after they watch the video too.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so very much. Have a wonderful, blessed day.
Thank you. You
You
too.
too. Thanks. All right. Bye.